Welcome to the 5G podcast.
We're glad you're here.
We hope you enjoy our conversation about God, guns, games, goals, and gastronomy.
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode.
Talk about Palworld, and then we can go right into the dumpster fire of the year so far.
That's right.
Oh, and then we can give a sneak peek to next week's episode.
Oh, yeah.
Next week's episode is the SHOT Show episode. Yes. I'm going to SHOT Show tomorrow.
Yeah,
morning, and I'm so freaking excited.
That's tomorrow, right?
Well, so it started today. Today was the first day.
Okay.
So they had the range day yesterday, and so they do a range day.
Gotcha.
Where people can bring their new toys and new things and show them off, and people get to shoot them and actually handle them. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and half of Friday are conference day, basically. Okay. And they do there's like the showroom floor, and then it's there's also like speakers if you want to go to them. They're talking about various things. So there's like law enforcement stuff, military stuff, and like seminars and things like that. There's also like manufacturing seminars, and because a lot of suppliers go to these shows as well, where it's like you can go and find a handful of like brass and copper suppliers from China who are just selling raw brass and copper for like ammo manufacturers and things like that. So
that sounds rad. I wouldn't mind some of the conferences and stuff. I bet are sweet. Like,
yeah, I've actually only ever been to one of the conferences, one of the talks or whatever you want to call it. The rest of the time, like it's so like, and I've never gone for the full week.
Yeah.
I just time wise, it's never worked out. Like most of the time, I go for 2 or 3 days, and so like I'm not there today, obviously. Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, some of them look pretty cool.
That sounds rad, and it's like a variety of things. There's what I like about cons.
Yeah,
like they're the conventions.
Like obviously there's guns, but all the big knife manufacturers are there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
All the big holster people,
probably like
optics
stuff.
A lot of outdoor stuff. Not like a huge amount of outdoor stuff.
Probably not like their main one, but
no, it's mostly guns. Mostly guns and gun adjacent products.
It's like. Couple of the Comic-Cons I've been to have actually had just like random science panels that I thought were either like, what about like comic book science in real life? Like they'd be talking about things like rail guns or whatever.
My mom actually for Christmas,
I'm at a Comic-Con learning about this.
That stuff's really cool though.
Yeah,
and like nerds like nerdy things.
Yeah,
my mom actually got me a couple books for Christmas a couple of years ago. And it's the physics of Star Wars and the mechanics of Star Trek.
Nice, yeah.
So mechanical things in Star Trek, physics of Star Wars, and like how like faster than light travel would work, and
that makes sense.
This. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, because I'm not huge into Star Trek, but anyone tells you Star Trek is actually more science based.
Yeah.
Than Star Wars. But
yeah. So
at least the physics. That's cool.
Anyway.
I guess that could be our spoiler for those just tuning in to the 5G podcast.
Next week, stay tuned for the SHOT Show episode where I go over stuff. I'll probably do like a top 10 cool things that I saw.
Yeah.
Like interesting, fun. I mean, I could talk for hours about it anyway.
I'll be excited to see if you got a couple pics or whatever.
I usually take a ton of pics. I actually have a couple albums in my phone, pictures of like previous SHOT shows.
Oh, sweet.
Anyway.
SHOT Show.
I wanted to start off our actual episode.
That was the icebreaker.
On a whim, without any prompting.
Yes.
And I decided to watch the first couple episodes of the Netflix adaptation of One Piece.
One Piece?
Yeah, which is an anime.
That's an anime.
It is. This is not. This is live action. Oh. But
I was going to say, this is Steven's 4th anime he's ever watched. But
are we counting... I think I've only ever watched one, and I haven't even finished it yet. I haven't started this.
Avatar, Death Note, Invincible.
Yeah, I don't think 2 of those count necessarily. But yeah, I was like, you know what?
Why not?
Looks good. It's in English. Might as well, give it a shot. And it's really well done.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of it?
I've seen a couple episodes. I haven't actually finished it. I think I saw 3 episodes.
I think you and I are probably at the same spot then.
They just fought a clown?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly where I just ended that fight scene.
Right.
And I was like, all right. the creators of the storyline that this one follows, I'm sure it's very similar to the actual anime. Probably a little bit shortened and more succinct. But I feel like I understand the whole plot of the world and don't need like any, like they've done very well on the back stories of everything. Like the world building that they have done is like fantastic. Where like it makes sense,
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'd give it a solid 7.5 out of 10.
It's enjoyable. Yeah, I paused for a while. I think just because I was watching something else, and the wife didn't love it, so she was like, you can watch this one on your own. I said, okay, that's fine. Then it just got put on the back burner. But
sure,
it's a fun show. It's like kind of wacky, over the top action, but still like,
but still actiony action.
But still action, yeah. All the characters are fun. They're all believable. Nobody's like annoying or grating. Like,
no.
The antagonists have been pretty rad. Like, pirate with just a giant axe on his hand. Yeah, I'll take it.
He's a Marine, not a pirate.
Oh, right. He's a Marine with a giant axe on his hand. Axe Hand Morgan.
That was pretty funny. You should cosplay as him sometime.
Right.
Dye your hair blonde. Put a Metal John.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's a fun show. It's cool. And from what I know of the anime, it follows the story, but it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't really like feel rushed or anything. No. So,
like, I'm sure they've truncated some of it because I'm sure that there's much more story like behind it.
Yeah, because One Piece was one of those like, episode of the week type deals back in the like 90s, and so they've kicked out hundreds of episodes. One fight scene might take 8 episodes.
Yeah,
whatever.
Sure.
That's not really how TV or anime is done anymore. So.
No, but like I said, this one is so far, like, I'm gonna try to finish it at some point, but so far so good.
Cool.
Anyway,
I might also have to finish it then.
You wanted to talk about this new thing I've seen.
Yes.
About 4.5 seconds of content about it.
And 4 of it was memes.
4, well, so obviously it's been more than actually 4.5 actual seconds, right?
Okay.
But one of them was quite a hilarious TikTok. I'm sure. And well, why don't you take it from there? What are we talking about?
Hopefully this game isn't dead by the time this episode releases on Saturday. But Palworld. That's what everybody's talking about. It's
such a dumb name.
Yeah, right. The more I play, the more I'm like realizing. Wait, it's like there's a curve. Like I play more, and I'm like, this is definitely a Pokemon knockoff. Right? That's like the middle, the vast majority. But then like knowing nothing about it, and then like knowing so much about it, I'm like, actually no, it's like a really in-depth game, and it's got all these different mechanics. And so I'm somewhere on that downslope where I'm like, yeah, this is actually a pretty fun game. It's definitely not a Pokemon knockoff, but maybe a little bit. Because you still jokingly call things like, hey, check out this cool Pokemon I got. Like,
what else are you supposed to call it? Like a pal?
A pal. They're called pals.
Oh my gosh.
And you throw Pokeballs, but they're not Pokeballs. They're pal spheres. I kid you not.
It's better than friend nuts, I suppose.
Right, yeah. Pokemon. No, so it is Pokemon, but a more apt comparison is actually Ark.
Oh, sure.
It's Ark.
Ark with Pokeballs.
Yeah, Ark with Pokemon and like more in-depth things to do with your dinosaurs, or in this case, your Pokemon. Like you can actually put them to work like a slave labor camp.
That's hilarious.
It is awesome. Yeah, you can never do that in Pokemon.
And it's a sort of open world survival.
Yeah, open world survival game. The multiplayer is really easy.
So like if Minecraft and Pokemon had a child.
Yeah, totally. They have dedicated servers, or you can hop on internet connections up to 4 players, I think.
Oh, wow.
More, you got to do a dedicated server.
Wow.
But it's seamless. It's smooth for a game that just came out 4 days ago. It's pretty bug free.
It only came out 4 days ago?
Yeah, on Friday.
How did it catch fire so quickly?
That's insane. That's what I want to talk about as well. It is. I don't know about the today, but when I wanted to talk about it on Sunday, I think maybe yesterday, I was thinking about it. It was number 1 on the Steam charts for live players.
Number 1.
It beat Counter-Strike.
Wow.
Which it's very few games dethrone Counter-Strike, even for a time.
No, at all. Like, yeah,
Counter-Strike on like a good kind of an average weekend has like 1 million concurrent players at the top. Palworld this past weekend had almost 1.3 million.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they sold something like 3 million copies, but they're also on Game Pass. Like they're
just raking it in.
They did super well monetarily. The players, like, you can't argue with 1.3 million.
No.
You beat Counter-Strike.
If a game beats Counter-Strike, you've done something good.
If the game, like, there's some people complaining, oh, the game sucks, or it's just a Pokemon ripoff, or there's even some crazies like, oh, it's unethical treatment of animals, whatever. I don't know.
It's a video game.
It's a video game. But despite all of that, 1.3 million doesn't lie. Like, that's not just like YouTubers and video game journalists or people playing for 10 minutes and like, this game is dumb.
No.
It's a pretty good game.
That's crazy. I didn't realize. I knew it was popular because I saw a bunch of people playing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went on, I was watching a little bit of Twitch last night, and I saw like a bunch of people that I follow who like don't normally play that type of game. Were playing it, and I was like, what the heck?
Survival game.
And I saw a clip of Asmongold. And he was just like making fun of it, but like in like look at what you can do. Like,
right.
Oh, this is Pokemon. All I'm doing is Pokemon. And then like he's like murdering this animal, and you're like, oh, and it's like, look, it's just Pokemon. And he throws this Pokeball at a trainer type character, and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, you're now my slave. And it's like, you can catch humans. It's like, oh, what the heck?
It's funny because the game doesn't tell you that. They just like let you figure that out. Because normally if you hold up the Pokeball, they'll tell you like, you got a 20% chance to catch this Pokemon. Or whatever. You point it over a human NPC and it doesn't do anything. But until you release the Pokeball and it goes inside. So and then he just shows up in your little Pokebox thing.
And then he's yours, and you can do whatever you want with him.
Yeah, slave labor. You put him to work on your base, farming or building things or doing whatever.
That's hilarious.
Every pal has different stats, so they're good at different things around the base, and there's a stat for like handiwork for crafting things, so the humans are pretty good at that.
Wow.
Also the monkeys.
That's hilarious.
Right.
This sounds like a game that I feel like we would like enjoy hopping on, like a 3 or 4 man server.
I got the game. Like, okay, so all weekend I wasn't playing it. I was playing Baldur's Gate or whatever instead. And I slowly saw like all of my family members get it on Discord. Or on Steam. It was just like, oh, okay, like, yeah, my brother and his wife are playing. Okay, that's kind of funny. I come back a few hours later. Oh, my other brother and his wife are also playing. That's kind of random. And then like the next day I see, oh, my little sister's also playing. What? So then Sunday night, I was talking to my little sister at family dinner. She convinced my wife to get it. Sunday night, we booted up, played together for the first like 3 hours, just experiencing a new game together.
Wow, that's cool.
And it was awesome. Like I said, there were no bugs or nothing for a brand new game. And it was
indie studio.
Yeah, pretty small.
Like coupled like 3 guys in the basement type
Basically,
thing?
I heard one of them was like a college student who did some of their AI design or whatever, or did some of the gun design. He did a big part
there's guns.
Yes.
Guns. Minecraft with guns, super in.
That was some of the funniest.
So it's more like Rust with Pokemon.
Probably. That's what I mean. Like Ark eventually got guns.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But like your pals, your Pokemon get guns. The first one you can get, there's this little chipmunk, and you have to craft it. It's like an upgrade for him, but then you go pick him up, and he sits on your head, and he's got a submachine gun. And then the other one you can give the little monkey like a friggin' assault rifle, and then he'll go.
That's hilarious.
And then one of them is a special harness for this like Firefox Pokemon. That's definitely not a ripoff of Vulpix.
Of course,
you pick him up and you use him as a flamethrower. Yeah. I just literally before you came over, I just built. There's this rocket launcher that shoots a penguin out of it.
That's hilarious.
I haven't tried that one yet. I'm kind of excited.
Does he like shoot out, do damage, and like waddle back to you?
I'm assuming. I don't know. So it's a blast, and it looks like I've only scratched the surface and playing for just a couple of days. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's crazy that they were able to do so. Like, was there any advertising or anything?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's been kind of small advertising on and off for a while. And to their credit, it's only early access.
Still,
technically, they released today or a couple days ago in early access, but it's a public game already at that point. So
how much was it to buy?
$30, but they got a little like first week sale for like 25 or 26 or something.
Okay, and then they're probably taking home at least 50% of that.
I would say, yeah. I think,
dude, those guys just made so much freaking money.
30 million at least. Like,
well, if there was 1.3 concurrent players, that's $20 million.
Sure, yeah.
Like, and there's 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, take out a little bit of overhead. Yeah, they spent 4 years creating it, whatever.
I don't know how much you get from Game Pass. Like, that's just Steam numbers alone.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, these guys just had a freaking fantastic first month of the year.
For just an early access game, you bring up another good point. January releases are not good for video games, for movies, for anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if it maintains momentum.
That's what I'm saying. I joked. I'm like, I hope the game is still alive on Saturday, because that's like some of the memes, like, oh, it's just Pokemon with guns, or oh, it's
but even if, like, this is the thing though, even if it is just Pokemon with guns, or with Minecraft or whatever you want to call it, look how Pokemon is still a extremely popular IP.
This type of game, my little sister would probably never play, but the advertisements of like, you get a cute little sheep. That appeals to her. Like, she loves the Pokemon games. Oh, look at this cute little cat, and then you can catch him, and he works in your base for you. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. She's got a bunch of just like sheep running around her base. So cool.
And I'm sure you can do it where you don't have to build the guns or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Are there hostile creatures that come and attack you?
On occasion, they'll come like raid your base, either the human NPCs or just like wild monsters.
But it's not like anything like Minecraft where there's like constantly like skeletons and creepers and zombies. Or
honestly, I think only the human NPCs are the hostile ones. The monsters are peaceful.
Fair enough.
That's all I've noticed, other than those raids, like I said. So, where some of the bosses might be hostile, but kind of encroaching on their territory, looking for a fight. So,
yeah,
I mean,
that's fair.
Self-defense.
It's a stand your ground state. Is that
that's right? Yeah. So it's fun. I think the multiplayer is going to be rad. It doesn't seem super grindy like some of those survival games.
Yeah, like
they just demand so much of your time.
Yeah, like Minecraft can get super grindy.
Yeah, Ark can be like, you want to tame this T-Rex, you gotta sit here and watch him for 3 days of real time.
Jeez.
And then you want a even better T-Rex, you gotta breed 2 T-Rexes, and then you gotta watch the egg for 7 days of real time. Like, nah, this one's been like 20-minute eggs. The catching mechanic is literally throw a Pokeball at it, like it's all instant. That's it. It doesn't demand too much of your time. You build things, and it's like, if you want to sit there and like, let's say you crafted the new gun or whatever, or a crossbow or whatever, you can sit there and just like craft it and watch the bar go up, or you can tell a monkey to build it and come back later. Like, come back in 5 minutes and he'll be done. Like, you can automate everything.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I have infinite like food set up for my animals because I have them growing berries, watering berries, and harvesting berries. And I also just started up wheat. I haven't totally automated bread production yet, but I'm sure I'll be able to. So far, they just harvest wheat and put it in the chest, and then I gotta grind it. Put it in the grinder. They grind it, and then I put it on the stove. They cook it. I'm sure I'll be able to automate that eventually.
Yeah, for sure. To get 2 more NPCs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I've only scratched the surface. Like, it's
this is the problem, is that so can you like chop down trees and clear areas and move dirt around?
That's the first thing you do is chop down a tree. So there's not really terraforming it, but there's base building.
Okay, so you gotta if you want like a flat open area, you kind of have to find like a flat space.
You have to find one. There have been plenty of those I've seen where it's like there's nothing else in this clearing. I'm like, all right, they intended this for like a player base.
Sure,
right here.
Well, and that's fine. That's fine game design in my opinion. Like,
yeah, definitely.
And Okay, cool.
There's lots of fast travel as well. That's another thing.
That's sick.
Yeah, where they respect my time as a gamer. Just let me fast travel to things. Once I've discovered it once, fast travel.
And is it like there are like certain waypoints that you have to like place down or whatever?
You can always fast travel to your base is its own fast travel point, and then all the other waypoints you find in game, just all over the map.
So it's not like you can't just like fast travel wherever you want. It has to be a way station or whatever.
Yeah, you have to go to a way station and port to another one. But
super reasonable.
Yeah, Arcs didn't have any of those until like super late game, and they were not useful. Minecraft, you have to use commands, so it's technically cheating.
Yeah. Wow, that's super cool.
It's a quality game, I think. It's not a meme.
What happens in these types of games, though, is that Caleb and I always just turn into slave masters.
This one you can.
Well, you can in Minecraft, too. And I don't know if you...
I do remember.
Yeah, last time we had a secret underground breeding facility for villagers.
Yeah, that's right.
And we had a jail. A trading jail, and we had effectively
a slave market.
Well, yeah, but we had effectively made it so that we had like a certain chain, right? Where like you started on one guy and just worked your way down, and you turned like carrots, which we had like infinite of, right? Because you can use the farmer villagers to grow potatoes and carrots in like a certain farm. So we had like 3 of these farms.
So they're just doing that automatically.
So we had like 3 of these farmers just like growing carrots for us. And then you could like trade up from like carrots and like through a series of trades, emeralds. Yeah. And so we just had effectively infinite emeralds.
Infinite money.
You know, there's a little bit of a cooldown because there was an internal cooldown on the guys. But
sure.
Like, what do you do with emeralds besides trade? And so then after you have infinite emeralds, some of these other guys like
find any.
And if you continue to trade with these villagers, it gets better and better and better and better for you.
Yeah.
And so we were just stacking on. That was so much fun. So much fun. So that would definitely be a thing.
Yeah.
That we would do. I'd have my wheat fields.
I just unlocked a building you can place in your base. Or I thought it was supposed to be like an outlook or whatever that you could like have an animal watch and to like see for oncoming enemies. No, it's just a little a podium that you stand on as an overseer, and it lets you issue decrees to all the Pokemon at your base to tell them how hard to work. So it's like they'll work faster but consume more stamina, and their like happiness goes down. I'm like, oh, okay.
So they knew what they were making.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, that just reminded me of that. Your description.
Hey,
there.
You know what though? Good game design.
Dude, great game.
You're not trying to like sugarcoat anything.
No,
like.
And it's pretty cartoony. I don't know. I feel like T rating. I think is what it has.
Oh, that's fine then.
That's fine. There's no like actual blood. When you kill an animal, the body just ragdolls everywhere. Like it's hilarious.
That's very funny.
The sheep, they literally just like roll down the hill in the starting zone. You kill them at the top of the hill, and then they just.
That's very funny.
It's good. It's fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might have to get this one.
Pretty fun.
Maybe we should convince Caleb, and then on Sunday we can spend 4 hours having fun.
Get a LAN party going.
For your birthday.
Yeah. All night.
That'd be very, very fun.
Start fresh.
I'm very excited for that, by the way. I'm like super down to like spend 77 hours.
Something about adult LAN parties.
Like I'll bring my PC over here and we can just... Anyway. On to, unless we're done with Palworld?
Yes. So
sounds like a very good game.
Oh, no. I did want to bring up the one last thing to finish. Palworld became the 6th Steam game to hit 1 million concurrent players.
Wow, only 6 games to ever hit 1 million. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Since Steam's inception in 2003.
All right, let me guess.
Yes, you can probably guess a couple of these. Probably not
CS.
All. Yeah, they Counter-Strike Go / Counter-Strike 2.
Do they count both of them as one?
As one.
Okay. So there's 6.
Yes, that's one.
So no Palworld, obviously.
Palworld is number 6.
Let's see. Probably not any of the Call of Duties.
These are only Steam games.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Shoot, man. Why does my mind just like go blank right as soon as I... Give me another one.
Okay. One of the ones that you might end up guessing, or one of the weird ones?
One of the weird ones.
One of the weird ones, Dota 2.
Oh, I could have guessed that actually.
Okay,
I
wasn't
could have
sure.
guessed that.
That one was in the middle.
I could have guessed that.
Dota 2 because it has a loyal fan base.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it uses Counter-Strike's stuff,
Yeah.
right? So, I don't know, one of the Doom games.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's. All right.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
On release, that game was hyped.
Yeah. What is Skyrim or anything like that on there?
No,
Any
see,
of
I
the
thought Skyrim would be, but I guess just not concurrent. You know, because Steam just tracking 1 million concurrent players, and they've had the Ultimate Edition and the Legendary Edition.
Oh, what about like one of the Battlefields?
You're close, but not quite.
Give it to me.
PUBG.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and then what's the other version of PUBG? It's not Nah, I don't know.
I don't know if you get the last one because this one surprised me.
Well, there should be two more.
Cyberpunk, Palworld, Dota 2, CS.
Oh no, yeah. PUBG.
Lost Ark.
Never even heard of that one.
Yeah,
to be honest.
it's a weird. I think it's really popular in Asia. It's an Asian MMO. But the interesting thing, in terms of somebody just compared the time it took to hit 1 million concurrent players. Palworld only did it in 47 hours. You know, it was just over the weekend. They hit 1 million players
in under 2 days.
Whereas compared
these
to
guys are like
PUBG was pretty good at 169 days on average. Like it takes, I don't know, a year at least. Dota 2 took a year. Cyberpunk 2077 did it in 3 hours.
Well, that makes sense. They hyped that thing up so much.
That was wild. So yeah, Palworld. That's what I want to say. Only 6 games on Steam to hit 1 million concurrent players. Good
for them, man.
Yeah.
Good for them. And a nobody studio.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how pissed you have to be if you're a freaking Cyberpunk 2077 executive? You're like, we spent $1 billion to make this game, and 4 guys in their dorm rooms made a better game.
It's that Iron Man meme of like, they built this in a cave with a box of rocks or a box of scraps. That's what he said.
Yeah,
he built the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. Like,
wow,
indie game developers knocking it out of the park lately.
For sure, though. Like, there's not been a single AAA game recently. 2070 Cyberpunk kind of had a little bit of a resurgence with their update where they actually made the game functionable. But like, all the new
all the AAAs, they're coming out with stuff. They're doing okay, but
they're not like going bankrupt or anything like that. But like, none of the amazing performing games have been like, wow, good for them.
Yeah,
good for them. I wanted to say one more thing.
Sure.
The most expensive Counter-Strike item ever
just sold
was just made or found.
Just found. Ooh.
So this is going to be real nerdy for 5 minutes. I promise. I'll time myself.
Okay.
In Counter-Strike, there are skins on guns, right? Those skins, certain ones are higher tiered based off their rarity, right? So a more rare skin is reasonably more expensive.
Yeah.
Many of the skins are what are called pattern-based skins, which means that there is a canvas, effectively, of 1,000 different options that skin can be.
Yeah.
And then it's randomized. There's 1,000 different choices, or 1 in 1,000 chance that you get that skin of that skin, right?
Yeah, right.
That version of that skin,
the iterations, yeah.
And they're usually more simple patterns, but they're so these the ones that are like the most expensive are called the case hardened.
Okay.
Which basically means it looks like anodized metal, but it's like heat treated metal, basically, is what it looks like.
And to give you a range, some of these can go for hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, some of them, the rarest of them.
So the rarest ones can literally go for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Real dollars.
Real money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if it's on a knife, so the most expensive ones are called the case hardened ones, these case hardened ones. And there's 3 different colors on case hardened. There's gold, red, and blue. But it's all randomized, right?
Yeah.
And so you have this mix of gold and red and blue. And a lot of it is gold, and there's a lot of gold and a lot of blue with a little bit of red, right?
Okay.
So the most expensive ones are called these blue gems, which is part of the pattern, where it's basically pure blue on a big section of the gun, right? So you can get a gun that has, for an AK, for example, the body of the gun, the actual firearm itself, is basically completely gold, but then the magazine is pure blue.
Interesting. Okay.
And vice versa, you can have a magazine and lower receiver that are pure gold, and then the upper dust cover is pure blue. So this skin by itself is a very rare skin, very expensive skin. One, because it's a high tier skin. Two, because of its rarity. And three, because people like these case hardened skins.
Yeah.
And so there's this one pattern. It's pattern number 661. And it was theorized that if you got it in factory new, because there's also scales of wear, condition, right? So factory new, meaning the skin is perfect. Pattern number 661 in stat track, meaning it counts how many kills you get, would be the most expensive skin in the game. Ever.
Was it for an AK too, or?
Yeah. So it's only on this AK, this one, right? So there are other. So there's case hardened. Most of the knives you can get a version of that is case hardened. Okay. So the karambit, the knife karambit that does this, is like a $400,000-$500,000 knife.
Jeez. Man,
in a specific pattern, like this blue gem pattern, right?
So what does it make the 661 AK $1 million?
People are theorizing that. So there have been offers to this guy for $800 to $1 million.
Yeah.
800,000.
Don't take anything less than $1 million, then.
Nope. And people are saying that, the guy said no.
He's gonna let it get bigger.
Yeah, because it's literally only one.
Wasn't that long ago we were talking about the One Ring in Magic the Gathering, which was just a physical piece of paper, but you could argue that's the same as a digital cool.
Except
AK
this digital AK is usable without degrading its value.
That's also true. Yeah,
you can't use the One Ring card without I bent the corner and now I lost $1 million.
Yeah,
right?
It just looks nice on a wall or in a hermetically sealed vault.
Yeah.
The AK you can at least use in game.
What's cool about these really number one skins is that professional players, when they go to big tournaments, will rent them.
Yeah.
From these collectors.
Nice.
And so it's actually an asset to these collectors because he paid, people don't know if he crafted it, because you can do certain things to trade up and craft in Counter-Strike, or if he just unboxed it.
Yeah.
If he unboxed it, it's the most crazy thing on the planet.
Yeah. Insane odds.
But people are saying if the top player in the world wants to rent that from you, their contracts are millions of dollars a year. Sometimes they're going to pay you $50K to rent this from you for a tournament or whatever, weekend, right? Because
they want to show off.
And a lot of these guys will do full inventories of rented knives that are this top tier knives and things like that.
Jeez.
And so this guy has a really big asset now.
That's cool.
He just went from $5 in assets to at least $1 million in assets.
Because even if, as you said, he just rents it out, it's an extra $50,000 you weren't planning on having.
Dude, retire.
Yeah, for nothing.
Yeah,
just rent that out every other weekend.
Rent it out 2 times a year, and you made $100,000. I don't know if they'll pay that much. I don't know what the rental prices are, but for the number one AK ever, it's I'm playing with the most expensive AK. That's how good I am, is I can afford this AK. What? Yeah. So anyway, that was some big cool video game news.
That's cool.
And that was 5 minutes.
That was 5 minutes. Solid. Maybe 6.
It might have been 6.
Play it back. Right. So we're done.
Video games are over.
We're done. No more video games. We're done murdering Pokemon. We're done murdering people with guns. Now it's time to murder.
Now it's time to get murdered by Watsy.
Yes, till they come and shut down our channel. Honestly, I would love the attention.
Dude, I would find it so funny if we got a cease and desist from Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
Do you know how funny that would be if we got a cease and desist from Wizards of the Coast?
Stop talking crap
for
about
slander or something like that?
Oh, man.
Calling them a bunch of dinguses.
So, we'll get into it. I have some semi-organized thoughts. about mainly around the new set, right? Murders at Karlov Manor. Yeah.
I just keep calling it Murder on the Watsy Express.
Yeah, right. So spoilers, I think, are totally out by today. The set comes out this weekend or something. So,
or does it come out that soon already?
Pretty sure. I don't think technically. I think it's pre-release, but I don't think they do pre-releases anymore. So, or they do, but it's just release weekend. You still might have pre-release events at your local game store, but yeah, Murders at Karlov Manor. It's the next standard legal set. They spoiled new cards, new mechanics, and everything. I'm sure we've got some screenshots to go over. But I wanted to start off because there's probably many things that we're going to be trashing today. For the rest of the episode.
Very many things.
I think I wanted to start off with play boosters.
Okay. We
sure. Spoiled this one time, I think a couple months ago when we heard about this. This set marks the death of draft boosters are done away with. So if you're looking to buy anything from this new set next week, you either buy collector boosters, which have always been
meh
for collectors. They're way too expensive for the average consumer. And now play boosters. They got rid of the draft boosters and set boosters, which came from draft boosters, and then so now they rolled them back into one booster type.
And it's called a play boost.
A play booster. Because they claim you can still draft with them, but it has some of the what's the word? The handpickedness of set boosters. I don't know a better way to say that. The curated set boosters have always been slightly curated.
What was the reasoning for their curation?
Set boosters were just supposed to be better chance at value. You weren't supposed to play with them. You were just supposed to crack them open.
It was rip a pack.
Yeah, rip a pack, and it'd be like, oh, the middle 5 cards are kind of have somewhat of a theme, right? They're somewhat related, and then you get a couple chances at a rare. I think a guaranteed foil, things like that. Some dinky little art card at the back that was never worth anything. But that was the idea of a set booster, whereas draft boosters were supposed to be randomized, the opposite of curated, because you need random for a draft experience. When you're playing a game, you open a pack, you take a card, pass it around the table, build a whole deck from that. If you open a curated booster, it doesn't really work, because then, like, there's not enough randomness, there's not enough variance between everybody getting those packs
to make it a draftable experience.
Yeah, everybody would be getting the same curated cards. Like, it would just be kind of odd. So either there would be too much or not enough.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, interesting. Now we're back to just play boosters.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
They claim they're draftable. I don't know. I'm not crossing my fingers on.
You're not holding your breath for it, huh?
Plus, they're going to be at the set booster price, so they've just totally eliminated the $4 price tag for booster. They're going to be $5 now. I know that sounds like a little bit, but
multiplied by how many packs in a box?
You need 3 for a draft. So if you want to go down to play a draft at your store, it's going to be at least 15. But stores are going to upcharge because they do.
Yeah.
Because there's no MSRP.
Yeah, that's rough.
So they're probably going to sell individual packs for like $6 or $7, and it's all uphill.
Jeez.
From there. Supposedly there's more rares though, so it's good for everybody. There's more chances at a rare in a pack. Ooh, that's how they sold it.
But that defeats the purpose of rares.
Yeah, exactly. It just waters it down. There's also
people need to understand how economics works.
There's less commons in every set now. That's just a thing. Where they used to be a standard number.
I mean, power creep, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you have to make something a rare if it's going to be more powerful.
Yeah, because then it would have a lower appearance rate.
Theoretically.
Yeah. Lately, the rarity has always been for draft anyway. I mean, what's the difference between a rare and a mythic rare? Really, it's just the value that we ascribe on it as players. Because you crack open so many packs. Nobody's cracking open a pack looking for one mythic rare. You just go buy it.
Fair.
Because that's a better value for your money. So yeah, the rarity distinction is purely for draft. At this point, I don't know. Just make them all rares. Who cares?
Fair enough.
They're trying to control a little bit of the secondary market, right? By giving like cards that they perceive are going to be good, higher rarities.
Yeah, but whenever anyone ever tries to do this with anything, and this is not just like a Wizards of the Coast thing. This is a independent
market thing.
This is a market thing. It never works.
No, it never does.
Like, and this is going to be a Stephen rant. This is literally what communism tries to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this with Soviet Russia, was because there was an absence of a free market to determine prices of goods. They literally had an organization that just set the price for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter how much of it there was,
how much was needed,
or how much was needed. And so there could be huge surpluses of random crap that maybe 10% of the population needed, but they're like, oh yeah, 15% of the population needs it. So there was a 33% surplus.
Yep.
And then there's like, oh, this is like a mediocre thing that, yeah, maybe like 25% of the population needs, but actually 75% of the population needs. So there's this huge demand. 200% or 300% demand for this product. And so, they were never able to figure it out. Right. Even, like, obviously, like, we know how it ended up, but like, theoretically, they had good intentions of like trying to figure it out for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't, because there's how many products in a market? 1 million?
Yeah.
2,
right.
3? Like,
not
how many?
Infinite, but
like, effectively.
Yeah, way too much to manage, surely.
Yeah. And so, so like, people trying to control prices of goods that they produce never works.
Yeah.
Never does. Never does.
Yeah, so that's the play boosters. I'm not too happy about it.
Yeah.
I think it'll lessen the draft experience as well as like create weird financial problems. I mean, it's like nobody's happy. Nobody's gonna be happy.
Yeah, I wonder how.
They claim that statistically draft boosters weren't selling or whatever, so that's why they're trying to be good guy Wizards of the Coast. So we're trying to save draft. All right, we'll see. I guess we'll see. If they're trying to save draft, though, would they make cards such as these, Steven? When I try to get my friends into Magic the Gathering, I got to teach them about the very important mechanics of collecting evidence.
Jeez, are we getting into that right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to segue.
Yeah. Well, here, just let me pull up my gun real quick so you can shoot me in the face.
Don't forget, you got to teach them all 8 card types we have now, including battles, and then the subtypes. Don't forget all the enchantment subtypes, up to and including cases. Now we have cases.
Okay.
You got loot boxes in your Magic the Gathering now.
Yikes. I
have you come around on the cases?
I might have, because I found a couple of them, and I want to ask your opinion on them.
All right.
So maybe, I don't know if we want to get to that
as
now.
As far as all the mechanics, I'll name them. There's cases, there's collecting evidence, there's suspecting,
cloaking, and disguising, which are like the same thing, but they're 2 different keywords.
Well, and they're just morph and manifest.
Yeah.
Which we've already had. It's just, so when I'm trying to teach a new player, I'm like, oh, this disguise, it's like morph. They're like, oh, it's morph. I'm like, okay, well, it's like this. So we're 2 layers deep in describing new mechanics. You have,
and it gets like, why did morph or manifest need a boost?
I think for draft. I think for the limited environment.
Because it gives your creatures ward, and that's the only difference.
Nobody's playing disguise and cloak in Commander unless you know what that does, unless your commander benefits heavily off of the morph mechanic. Like, giving a ward 2 doesn't make a difference. Nobody's targeting your...
Well, but the problem is, like, even like my Cadena Slinking Sorceress or whatever her name is, I can play a card face down for free every turn. Yeah. And then when I do, I get to draw a card.
Yep.
But if I do that, it acts as a morph. Or it acts as a manifest.
Manifest. Or a morph. A morph in that case, yeah. Manifest is from the top of your library.
I think it says I can manifest a card,
Oh, maybe.
but then if a creature has morph, it can flip
You
over.
Flip it over, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But like the cloak and disguise mechanics don't work with her.
No, yeah, they don't. I don't believe you.
Because I wouldn't be able to give them the ward too.
Yeah.
And now if you have morph and cloak or disguise or whichever one it is in one deck,
you got more things to track.
It's like, oh, this is a ward counter. A ward 2, like, it's so dumb.
No, we can get into that as well. That was one of my other major points. As Magic is turning more into a arena, a digital only client on paper, you can't expect me to track all these things, but we can cover that in a second because it's related to cases. You want to talk about cases, our new favorite.
Well, so let's go down. I didn't let you finish going down the subtype.
I think that was it. Cases is the only new like subtype in the set, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, everything else.
Well, we have detective. Was that a creature type previously?
Detective is a new creature type. Yeah, you're right.
Detective is a new creature type,
and everybody in the set's a detective. They're all wearing fedoras, so they're detectives.
Or kneeling.
Or they're kneeling. They're kneeling and looking at evidence. Collect evidence.
That meme you sent was very funny. A platypus. The platypus.
Yes. Everybody's wearing hats on Ravnica. We're on a pretty well-known plane in Magic's history, but now all of a sudden everyone's detectives.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. So yeah, cases. So I thought it was really kind of a dumb thing because it's basically a more complicated saga, but like it's a permanent saga.
Yeah, sagas go away at the end. So this. Again, I think these are just double-sided enchantments.
Well, they're not even double-sided.
I'm saying they could literally be of just like...
Oh, yeah. Once you do this, do this.
Yeah, when you play this enchantment, it has a passive effect. Once you fulfill the clause, you get a second passive effect, basically.
Yeah.
Or a different passive effect? I don't know.
Let me see here. Okay, I got a couple here. So I wanted to ask you about a couple of these, because some of these, like... A couple of them seem decent enough.
Okay.
So this one, I don't know if you've heard of a couple of these. The one that is doesn't seem bad is the blue one. Case of the Ransacked Lab.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it costs 3 mana, 2 and a blue. Then instants and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast.
Okay.
So like that's not bad as like a thing to just play.
That's an okay rate for 3 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to solve it, this is another thing to solve. To solve means that you've completed a set goal by the beginning of your end step.
Yeah, you have there's reminder text inside your new mechanic of if unsolved, solve at the beginning of your next end step.
Yes.
So if you fulfill the requirement at the end of your turn.
So in order to check this box, you have to cast 4 or more instants and sorcery spells this turn.
Right. So then if it's solved.
Wait, so that actually reads very funnily that I didn't recognize prior to this.
Yeah.
Because it's 4 more instants and sorceries. Not instants or sorceries.
Instant and sorcery spells. 4 spells.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, when you do that, you can go to the solved stage. And basically, it's so you don't get the benefit of the first part anymore, right?
I have no idea.
Because you've moved on?
Assuming you still do.
Oh, really? Interesting. That would be kind of good then.
Yeah, maybe.
Because then the solve step is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card.
Yeah.
So now your instants and sorceries cost 1 less to cast and you draw a card. That's pretty good value for 3 mana.
They're all cantrips, yeah.
That's
you have to cast 4 of them in a turn without drawing any cards. But then on your
but you could do like if you're playing a green blue deck.
Yeah.
You could play 2 ramp spells.
Sure.
2 ramp spell, like turn 4 or turn 5 or something like that. You could play. This would have to be out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could do it turn
It's got to be out already.
5.
Mm-hmm.
Turn 5. You have this out turn 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Play a ramp spell, a buff spell, instant right before or an instant during combat, and then a main phase 2 spell or something, sorcery or something like that. That's a lot of spells. That's a lot.
It's tough in Commander.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot actually.
Or you already are going to want them to be cheap, and if they're cheap, you might not get that color cost reduction benefit.
Yeah, if they're 1 mana, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe not as good as
turning them all into cantrips is solid. And then assuming you get both those benefits, that's it's okay.
Yeah.
It reads a little confusing, but
yeah, they're very confusing cards.
Yeah,
they're very confusing cards.
You need a little marker to like track down the card, or when you said check the box, that sprung a little lightning bolt in my head. They should actually just make a check box on these cards so you can get a Sharpie. Check solved.
Or include it in the pack like a red Sharpie.
Yeah. And they got to put a little stamp. This case.
Oh, that would be so funny if they did that.
Yeah,
it's like a little rubber stamp that you can like. Ching, ching.
Every card would be one-time use only, but
hey.
Or you'd have in your sideboard, you have your solved version and your unsolved version. So then you play the unsolved version, and when you solve it, you just pull the stamped version out.
Yeah, that'd be actually pretty good. That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be funny, yeah.
The other one, if we're going to say something about that?
No, that's fine, yeah.
I got 4 of them, I think, that I want to ask you about. So, and then a couple other cards that I think we could discuss if we have time.
Certainly.
Maybe we'll have to save it till the end, but anyway. Case of the Locked Hothouse. I don't know if you saw this one.
Might have. I didn't.
This one is actually reasonable.
Okay.
This one's actually reasonable. It's 4 mana. It's a green one. 4 mana, 3 and a green. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Is the first part, which is a very expensive version of that effect. To solve it, you only have to control 7 or more lands.
At the end of your turn, if you have 7, you solve it,
which is fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
And then solve. This is actually like a decent effect in my opinion. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may play lands and cast creatures and enchantment spells from the top of your library.
Lands, creatures, and enchantments. Yeah, okay.
That's pretty okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of those previous effects, they either do lands or just creatures from the top. Or black lets you cast anything, which you have to pay life for it. So doing lands, creatures, and enchantments that you can cast from the top. Yeah, that doesn't seem bad.
Well, and if you get the first effect, you can like look at the top card of your deck, your library, cast a land from it.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking for like a good card draw,
you can kick the lands out of the way because you can get 2 per turn, assuming you still get the first effect, and I think you do.
Well, and you can if you put this with what's the one? Not Bread for the Hunt. Abundance.
Abundance, yeah.
Put an abundance in there. No, that wouldn't work together because you would have to draw the card prior to looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can look at it whenever you want, and then you can choose.
You don't want this and dig for something else.
Yeah. Like if you're like, oh, I'll play this land because I'll play it prior to my draw step. You can't do that though.
You can't do that.
Yeah. Anyway, there's an effect.
It's green. It's green doing green stuff.
It seemed reasonable.
It's wrapped up in the weird new mechanic, but I'm sure that's fine. Yeah.
I mean, it seemed halfway reasonable to me. It doesn't seem like a bad card, The red one seems case specific and kind of dumb.
I think I saw this one. Yeah.
Whenever this case enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw 2.
Yeah.
It's 3 mana for that, which kind of sucks.
Discard 8 card, draw 2. So you're just net 0 on cards. Okay.
Yeah, because you're playing this card
and then discarding another. Yeah.
And then this is a really hard one. To solve, you have no cards in hand.
Oh, okay. I saw a different red one then. Oof.
And then if it's solved, it's at the beginning of your upkeep, discard your hand, then draw 2 cards.
Yeesh. Yeah, wow.
Seems really poor.
That is, yeah. I can't imagine standard using that. So commander? If we're assuming one of our main complaints with the set I think at least, is like in general they're just designing things for Commander now anyway. So they're just like power creeping Commander. But then they also do things like this where I'm like, even Standard doesn't want that. I don't think that.
No, I mean, unless you're like,
if it was draw 3 cards, we might be talking. We might be business.
Maybe.
But draw 2 cards, you're gonna hit a land. Like.
Yeah, well then, but like you have to discard at the beginning of your upkeep anyway.
Yeah, so you can't use anything in between turns. So like a red aggressive deck wants to draw a creature that you play, and then maybe a red instant you can cast on your opponent's turn that you have to cast, otherwise you're going to discard it. There's not really good enough discard synergies in Standard right now. Like,
no. Anyway, I thought that one was poor.
Yeah.
I thought I had more than just these ones. I have one more green one that I want to ask you about, but then I thought I had more. I'll try and find them later.
Cases.
It's the Case of the Trampled Garden. It's another green one.
Okay. Most of 2 in each color.
When this case enters the battlefield, distribute 2 1/1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control.
How much mana was it?
3.
Okay.
2 and 1. To solve, creatures you control have total power 8 or greater. Super easy in green.
Fine. Yeah.
The other effect is kind of meh though. So whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature. It gains trample until end of turn.
Yeah. That is kind of poor.
Like,
is that an uncommon rarity?
It's silver.
Yeah. So maybe it's for draft. Ooh.
It just doesn't seem.
I can see that being okay in draft, but
it just.
I don't know. You're gonna want to bother with cases in a draft, like.
No, it just seems very, very bad.
Enchantments are not strong and limited anyway.
It just does not seem like something that is.
No.
Good enough, I don't know. It just.
I had one of the white ones. Case of the Pilfered Proof.
Oh my.
A lot of the names are kind of memey in this set.
Yeah, for sure.
Whenever a detective, 2 mana, 1 and a white. Whenever a detective enters the battlefield under your control, and whenever a detective you control is turned face up, put a 1/1 counter on it. To solve, you control 3 or more detectives. Okay. Solved. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a clue token are created instead.
That's really bad.
It's really bad.
That's really bad.
It's overly complicated for just like you can get a clue token, woo, and your detectives get 1/1 counters.
And it's not even like a stupid amount of clue tokens.
No,
it's 1 clue token.
You get 1 extra clue token every time you make a detective.
Every time you make a token.
Every time you make a token, but then you have to be using detectives.
Changelings.
Changelings are having a heyday with all the new detective tribal.
Detective and doctors.
Yeah.
Or Time Lords.
Time Lords and doctors, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the doctors are the names of the cards.
Yeah.
And Time Lord is the creature type.
Everyone's a detective. Sorry, did you have that was all the cases you wanted?
That's all the cases that I found that I kind of wanted to ask about.
Yeah, I'm not too high on it. The new creature types or whatever, those are fine. The suspecting
is weird. It's weird.
It is kind of weird
because you give a creature menace.
Yeah, it's if goading wasn't bad enough, I was okay with goading. I actually kind of enjoyed it because it only lasted 1 turn. Suspecting a creature is like goading, but now it's permanent. But there's no marker. There's no.
Well, but you don't have it. It does a different effect than goading.
It is, yeah. So it's. Oh, you're right. It is different than goading. What am I talking about?
Because it gives them menace.
It just gives the creature menace, and then they can't block. So
they can't block. I didn't know that part.
They can't block. Yeah. So you just have to remember that they have menace and can't block now. So in my head, I assume like, okay, so you just turn them into an attacker. Anytime you suspect a creature, they're just like a guaranteed attacker.
But they can still attack you.
Yeah, that's true. They can still attack you. I found this one dude from the main set, I believe. He's a Boros, they decided. Red-white aggro. He's going to suspect creatures.
That makes sense. I think I had this guy.
Yeah, he's a spirit detective. Which... supposedly this was explained in the story, but a random side tangent. They had a murder mystery on Ravnica when there's a whole guild dedicated to like the afterlife and talking to people. So I don't know how the murderer didn't get caught immediately, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the Spirit of Justice. Agris Cross, I don't know, Spirit of Justice. It's a 4-mana, 2/4 Spirit Detective. He's got double strike and vigilance. When he enters the battlefield or attacks, you choose up to one target creature. If it's suspected, exile it. Otherwise, suspected.
It's slow removal?
Very slow removal. If you enter the battlefield and attack, so every other turn, yeah, you can...
If this guy doesn't die.
You can suspect a creature and then exile it. Or you could suspect your own guys and give them menace.
But they can't block.
But then they can't block.
But you can only give one of them menace.
No, you can give one of them menace at a time. You can suspect all of them. But you can't suspect them.
Yeah, but that's really, really slow.
If you want to remove one of your opponent's creatures, you have to give them menace for a turn first.
Yeah.
And then you can remove them the next turn.
Yeah, it's a stupid mechanic. It's really bad.
Yeah. And then what if you forget that one of them is suspected? You're like, I don't know, I'll just suspect them again. Whatever, it's fine. But there's no counters or anything for it. Bringing me back to, I swear they're designing the game for their digital client where the computer tracks everything. Like,
yeah, when their main focus I mean, this is my opinion. I've tried to play Magic the Gathering Arena.
Uh-huh.
It's not like the most amazing way to play Magic.
No, it's really not.
Like if you're in a pinch and you're like really bored in like an airport or something like that,
sure,
and you want to, spend 25 minutes or whatever playing against some person online that has built this deck that beats you in 3 seconds.
Or even worse, playing a control deck. Why are you playing a control deck on a digital client? I got 5 minutes on my bathroom break.
Yeah, exactly.
You should only be playing decks that beat me in 3 seconds. Because that's what I'm playing.
And like, so like things like, it's like, okay. It's like, because of all the interactions that have to go on with cards and like how the stack works, it's not like Hearthstone, which was designed to be
a digital game. Yeah, so it's very simple. There's no stack.
No, and it makes sense.
One action happens.
Exactly.
Next action happens. Like, that's it.
Exactly. And the way they've made their stack, quote unquote, it works flawlessly.
Yes.
Magic, though, has these weird interactions, and it's different than... It feels different than the actual played game.
Yeah, it does.
Because damage happens weird in that game, and effects can still happen even though the creature is dead and whatnot, and blah, blah, blah.
And everything pops up, and it's
like, what the heck's going on? I thought I killed that thing, and then wait, I gave it a 1/1 counter, but it should be dead. Like, what?
Computer tracks everything automatically, and it's different.
Yeah.
Standard doesn't exist on paper anymore. Everybody plays online Standard, and there's drafting on there too. So I think they're trying to keep that alive somehow.
Yeah.
But, you really Magic should be draft and Commander at this point. You don't need to cater to the other competitive formats. They'll just make do with what they get.
Yeah, I agree.
Heck, I don't even know if they should cater to Commander, but
I think they should try to make really compelling cards.
Yeah.
And people will fit them in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like with the Universe and Beyond stuff, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Universe and Beyond.
Like, if you want to make Commander decks with those, where it's like you only get the IP for a limited time, you want to make
the Doctor Who decks, yeah,
or the Warhammer or whatever.
Yep.
Like, that makes sense to make specific Commander decks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like designing a deck around a really cool character that people like, right?
Sure.
Like a Daleks deck. That's cool, right? But no one cares about a freaking Shisuru, the Last Airbender, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Shisuru, the Slither Blade or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. No one, who the freak is that?
Yeah.
He's a legendary creature. Okay, who gives a rip?
It's just Magic's IP.
Yeah, no one cares. But these cool IPs that are doing these crossovers, sure. Do a dedicated Commander deck for a really cool character. Make the deck super cool, right? But then the rest of it, just make really cool cards. And like obviously you need to balance it, but like you're gonna do that anyway. You're gonna balance it anyway. You don't need to make like have us go to Ravnica, produce really compelling story about the cards, produce really cool cards, but don't try to force them into this one random narrative.
Yeah. Especially because it's like, we wanted to do a murder mystery set. Okay, let's do it on Ravnica. Everybody's wearing top hats, or sorry, fedoras now. They're all detectives. And it just so happens, I don't think it's really a coincidence. Not even Wizards of the Coast is claiming that, but it so happens that Magic Clue Edition is coming out also soon-ish. So, and some of that art is from Ravnica. So they're basically coming out with a new Magic board game. You play a slight variation of Magic, but it's Clue themed.
That seems stupid.
Yeah, it does. So they have, I think, 5 different decks and 5 different colors from their characters from the game or whatever, right? The white and purple and orange and blue. And there's different weapons, and then there's different locations. I read the rules somebody posted online, and somebody like at IGN or whatever got to review it. They posted some of it. I'm like, all right. I mean, Magic's done goofy little like game nights before, or like unsanctioned, where they like just sell you a box that you can like pull out for people who don't know Magic. That seems okay, but it just is like very obviously that the standard set kind of suffered for that. I think they're trying to prop up like, and also there's Magic Clue, and if you liked Clue, you can come buy this set where everybody looks like they're from Clue.
I think like certain gimmicky accessory items are cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like they did the D&D cookbook, which you have, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty cool thing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, sure.
Like, or you know, if there's a character in Magic like Jace or something like that,
pretty iconic,
who, you know, they're gonna make a Jace water pistol or some crap, right?
Sure.
And it's like, okay, you're gonna like spend 2 cents per unit, and you're gonna sell them for $10-15 a pop.
A logo on it,
and it's gonna come in a cool box, and it's gonna have a cool holographic foil version of one of the Jace Planeswalker cards, but he has a water gun instead of like the normal art.
Yeah.
And it's $15.
There's something to be said about collectibles. Totally.
Like that's super cool. Like that's sick, right? And people who like Jace, and obviously I'm not like saying they should do this specific one because I don't know. Like obviously they do need to do their market research.
Yeah.
Which they obviously don't do.
I don't think so.
And I think that like that type of thing is perfectly reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But don't let your core game suffer.
Yeah.
Like these things should be accessories to the core game.
A lot of people were saying a lot of the art and sort of just themes from this set, don't really fit Ravnica. Like it's a little bit too light. And Ravnica is one of the most fleshed out sets. And B, they're saying it feels like Streets of New Capenna. We just had a sort of mobster like Art Deco style set last year or 2 years ago. That was set in like fantasy Chicago, where people were wearing fedoras, and it would have been okay to have like maybe detectives there. No word on if they're going to change some of the cards from that set to detective creature types. Probably should, but so people are saying, yeah, like how much of this was just scrapped ideas from that? So to your point of like they're kind of letting the game suffer.
And like, did we really need more freaking mechanic types?
Yeah, I don't like.
Also, first of all, you added clue or cases.
Cases. Yeah.
How effective were battles? Like, does anyone use those?
Supposedly, there was a test, and they were waiting for their market research and also the play research to come in before developing new battles. So they needed some time for the set to release. So maybe at this point they're actually working on battles again, but we won't see them for
probably another year. So we have this wonderful new card type, battles, and then you all of a sudden you're like, you know what? We don't have any of the market research, any of the data, any of the stuff we're waiting for this card. Let's just make a new one out of our butt.
New some
like
type.
They could have made it a saga.
Yeah, totally. Again, or some other form of enchantment. I don't know. That was more, easily understood. We didn't complain a whole lot about Ixalan. Ixalan had Discover, which you could argue is just Cascade but balanced. But I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of intuitive. The simple ones on this one is like, oh, the Disguise, it's just Morph but better.
But it's
so it's irrelevant. It doesn't need to exist. Like, if they were trying to balance a mechanic for Standard,
like if Morph was like super broken,
they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna balance this for a draft set. So yeah, this is our new mechanic. It's Morph but balanced. But they didn't do that. They just made a separate mechanic to needlessly complicate the game.
And Morph, I don't think the Disguise or whatever this one's called is going to be like super good anyway, because Morph isn't super good.
Collect Evidence, Disguise, Cases, these are all one-offs. They're all designing mechanics.
What does Collect Evidence do?
It's like Delve, but not really.
Remind me what Delve does?
Exactly. Clip that, because that's hilarious. It's an additional cost for your spell. You can exile cards from your graveyard with mana value X. So it's like
Delve 5, you exile creatures with mana value 5.
So Delve was different because it was just one card equaled one mana cost reduction on your card.
Well, that makes more sense though.
Yeah, this one is like, as an additional cost to cast the spell, collect Evidence 6, and you have to get rid of mana value 6. So lands don't count, but you can exile, 1 6-drop or 2 3-drops from your graveyard.
Hey, what if you don't have those in your
Usually
graveyard?
The spell just
fizzles?
It either fizzles or it does something really lame. It'll be like you play a 4-mana 2/2 creature, but if you collect Evidence 4, it gets 2/1/1 counters or something.
So it's really just a bad mechanic.
It's kicker. It's just an additional.
It's graveyard kicker.
Yeah. There's a joke about that in the Magic community of like every new mechanic is just kicker. It's just
kind of is
an additional cost. It's either kicker or a horsemanship. It just changes the way your creature interacts with other creatures.
Kicker or horsemanship are the two mechanics in Magic. You know what? That's not wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think that's wrong.
Additional costs and creature interactions. That's it.
Interesting. So. Well, should we at least go over some cards that we thought were maybe halfway decent?
Yes, we can go over a couple,
or at least halfway interesting.
Yeah, if I've been talking too much, if you want to go over one of yours first.
Let me go over two of mine first because they're related. I think you know which ones I'm gonna.
Gotcha.
Unless those are your two.
I think I have two good ones. Yeah. Let's go with yours first.
I've got one.
Yours are going to be pretty solid. We want to be credited as some of the first Magic creators talking about this card. Don't sleep on it.
Which one? The Novelist or the
Novelist?
Yeah. So yeah, this guy's actually pretty sick. Common.
The best Magic card
Bard was already a creature type.
Yes.
He can go in your D&D deck.
The D&D set, yeah.
Or in your party set.
No, that one was specifically Warriors, Clerics, Rogues, Wizards.
They didn't have Bard?
Because the party was a mechanic before the D&D set.
Oh, interesting.
And then the D&D set also had Bards and Barbarians and Paladins. That's too bad. Should have included, but they didn't.
That's too bad.
But yeah, Crime Novelist.
Yes, Crime Novelist. Goblin Bard. He's a common. 3 mana.
Uncommon.
Sorry, uncommon.
Silver.
Uncommon. My apologies.
No, you're fine.
3 mana, 2 and a red for a 1/3.
You're not playing him for his stats.
Not playing him for his stats. You're playing him for this, which is, in my opinion, going to break the game.
Oh yeah.
Not actually, but it's pretty great.
But clickbaity. It's the best card.
Game-breaking cards. So whenever you sacrifice an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on Crime Novelist, and add 1 red mana.
Just 1 red mana. Wait, whenever you sacrifice an artifact?
When do you sacrifice artifacts, Trevor?
Any artifact?
Any artifact.
Anytime I sacrifice?
Anytime.
Not once each turn?
Nope.
I just get a free red mana. Okay, yeah.
So all your treasure tokens,
they're actually 2 mana now.
All clue tokens draw you a card and give you a mana back.
And give you free mana.
Foods,
life, and a mana.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
Artifact creatures.
Thopters.
How many infinite creature graveyard loops are there? Now you got free mana on top of it.
Yeah. It's like this is going to go in my Jund deck because
Because
I don't make artifact creatures anyway. But like
it's gonna go in every deck.
Every deck with red, like you might as well throw this in.
Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, yeah. If you have any sort of treasures, and almost every deck in Commander does now.
Treasures or clues.
It's not just limited to red, even though this guy does generate red mana, so maybe you want.
Yeah, but then you.
But still,
like
your treasure can get you 1 mana of any other color and a red.
So you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to build a red-green deck.
Red-green.
And just have the chonkiest creatures come out.
Yep.
It's going to be a treasure token, red-green deck.
Done.
With like the Hydras.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have one Hydra that's going to have trample, or one Tyrannid with. They don't have trample. But whatever. And I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to tap 10. I'm going to sacrifice 10 treasure tokens.
10 treasures.
I'm going to float. Go ahead and float 10 green mana. Oh, by the way, that actually gives me 10 red mana too. Also, 10 1/1 counters on this guy.
10 counters on this guy.
So now instead of a 1/3, he's all of a sudden an 11.
Yep.
13.
I can think of a few decks for him.
He's
as well.
Great. Like so fantastic, and he's an uncommon.
He's going to be wild. He's going to be uncommons. Never really go above like $5. He's going to be like a $3 to $5 uncommon.
Oh, for sure, easy.
And I know you already said, but he's a goblin.
Yeah,
that fits in even more decks
because
including your next pick.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Kranko, who's always like the goblin leader.
The goblin leader.
One of
Ravnica, yeah.
Baron of Tin Street. He's also 3 mana for a 3/3. So
better stats.
He's got haste as well.
Love it.
But the reason he has haste,
I'd play him in an aggro deck. 3 mana, 3/3 haste. I'm done.
There you go. He's a legendary creature. He's a rare. Rare.
Yeah.
So he has haste. You can sacrifice him. You can tap him, sacrifice an artifact, put a 1/1 counter on each goblin you control, which, like, by itself, with a goblin deck, pretty okay.
Yeah, sacrifice any artifact. Pump up the goblins.
And here's the kicker with him. Not a kicker.
Not a literal kicker.
Well, kind of, because it's interaction. So whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, so that's not even yours.
Any artifact.
Any
graveyard.
Into any graveyard. You may pay 1 red mana. Fascinating. If you do, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token.
Whoa.
It gains haste until end of turn.
I forgot about that too. That's the kicker for me. It gains haste until end of turn.
So, literally,
yeah.
I sacrifice my treasure. I pay 1 red because I happen to have Crime Novelist. So I still have the floating mana.
You still have floating mana of any color. Probably red.
Probably red. So I'm positive on the mana.
You make another goblin.
I make another goblin. And I do that, I don't know, let's say 10 times for craps and giggles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because any deck with that Kranko, or all of the Krankos, is going to run untapped synergies.
Oh, for sure. And then I'm going to tap Kranko Baron of Street Tin, or Tin Street, sorry, and put a 1/1 counter on every goblin I control. Yeah. And if I just made 10 1/1 goblins with haste, now they're all 2/2 goblins with haste.
Well, and that's the cool thing is that bare minimum, you don't have any untaps, you don't have anything. You can get a 1/1 goblin and put a 1/1 counter every turn, because you're sacrificing an artifact. If you have some way to get treasure, you can sacrifice 1 treasure a turn with that guy, and the Crime Novelist will give you the red mana that you need to activate his ability. So
it's free.
It's free, yeah.
It's crazy.
Seems a little OP.
Anyway,
from the new Magic set, we like some of these cards, you know.
Did we talk about Wither?
Wither, yeah.
That's a new one.
It's an old mechanic.
All right.
That they just put on a one-off card.
Well, I don't mean to spoil anything. Is that one of your ones that you want to talk about?
No, I was going to talk about. We mentioned it the other day. As much as I think we've expressed our hatred for the new set, Murders at Karlov Manor or whatever. Murder mystery on the the WotC Express. They do have a giant crocodile elk turtle. He's pretty cool.
I forgot about this guy.
So gotta have a good green 11 mana 2/15 solid stat line.
That's right.
I love it. Anytime there's like a new stat line that you've never seen before, it's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, 2/15.
2/15
for 12 mana.
11 mana.
11 mana. Oh, 10 in a green, right?
Yeah. Yep, 10 in a green. He costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. Unfortunately, he's legendary, so you can't have two of these guys. Or like you play one.
Unless legend rule doesn't apply.
You play one, and then you just play more. Great. But he's got Defender, obviously. He's a 2/15. But you can pay 2 blue. So for Commander, that makes him green-blue. Until end of turn, target creature control gains +1/+0. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So you get a big 2/15, bare minimum. You can pay 4 mana, target himself with him ability. So he's a 3/15.
Which is such a pointless thing. Like, why would you do that?
But then if he deals combat damage, you can draw 15 cards. But
and in green, you're just going to give him trample somehow.
Yeah. Green, blue, white is common for the walls or the big butts strategy. Big toughness.
Big butts. I like that one.
His ability is instant speed, so you can do it to multiple of your creatures. You wait to see which one is going to deal combat damage to a player who's unblocked. So it's pretty solid. I like it. The art. He's called the Pride of Hulklade. He just looks like a big crocodile elk turtle. Kind of funny.
Hey, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It makes sense. All right, you got another one there for me?
Yeah, I'll do this other wild card. I can't believe they printed this one.
Double King?
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
I don't think so.
Well, I'll cover that one real after you.
Cool. There's another one that I think is kind of OP for Commander or for Standard. It's a red and white, which could be the only thing holding you back, because that is 2 colors. So 3 mana, 1 a red and a white enchantment. War Leader's Call. You got it.
Yeah.
Creatures you control get +1/+1, which traditionally has been a 3 mana effect in Magic's history, but recently it's come down to 2 mana with usually a stipulation. So 3 mana, creatures you control get +1/+1. And then whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, which is a little known card called Impact Tremors, which is notorious for combo decks, combo wins.
Yeah, and it's in red and white.
Red and white.
Dude, I'm running a Spirit Goblin deck.
You just make a bunch of tokens, and just creating the token deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then they're all 2/2s.
Yeah.
So the Anthem effect. There, people are trying to call it because it's Impact Tremors and Glorious Anthem. Anthem effects is where that came from. So they're trying to say Impact Anthem, Glorious Tremors. The joke is they're trying to come up with a new name for this card.
Yeah, it seems broken.
Pretty good.
It's a rare, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
This set is good and bad.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll go on to yours. We'll finish off with a couple more of yours.
I got 2 for you. 2 more. One's real quick. Pretty okay creature. Massacre Girl, Known Killer.
That's right. Yes.
4 mana, black. So 2 and 2 black. Legendary creature, human assassin. 4/4 with menace, which is cool. Then this is the cool part: is creatures you control have wither.
Yeah.
Which means they deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters.
Yep. So
which is crazy.
That any damage your creatures deal to other creatures is permanent, because of the -1/-1 counter, it stays and weakens them, their power as well.
Yeah, exactly. Then whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, which it will be if you have this guy out.
If you wither, yeah. If you go down to 0 toughness.
Draw a card.
Yeah. It's not enough just to give all your creatures wither. They gotta,
which is good by itself.
Yeah. Already would have some cool synergies, but now you draw a card on there, you're like, all right, that's a commander card.
Oh, for sure.
That's
for sure.
Nobody in Standard is going to use that.
The only thing that they didn't give him was the eminence effect on
So
that.
all your creatures have Wither all the time.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
That'd be crazy. This card is kind of... this is the last one, and it's kind of crazy.
All right.
It's kind of crazy. It's called Doppelgang.
Doppelgang.
So it's blue and green, which it has to be blue and green.
Yeah.
And it's XXX blue-green. So 3X costs.
The triple X.
Triple X. Yeah. Well, you'll see why. So for each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent.
Okay.
So if X is 1,
you pay 5
mana for one copy of one card.
That's not that good.
If X is 2, you make 2 copies of 2 different cards.
Oh yeah, for 8 mana.
So you make 4 copies for 8 mana.
Wow, yep.
If X is 3, so you're at 11 mana, you make 9 tokens of any card you want, basically.
Yep.
The real one is where X is 4, and you're paying 14 mana, because then you're getting 14 mana for 16 tokens.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Of any permanent.
You can do lands. You can do lands with that.
For each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent.
It doesn't say non-land permanents, yeah.
I mean,
so once you already have a lot of mana, make more mana. Green, blue, like
mana. But I just
want to win the game with this card. No, I just want more mana.
I'm just thinking like this is like a game-ending card.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is like a game-winning card. You have it's a sorcery, so you can't not instant speed, right, or anything like that. But I mean,
green blue is already going to ramp up to where they can do X equals 3 or 4, like pretty handedly.
Yeah, I mean 11 mana in a green deck is easy. Green blue,
Doppelgang. That's pretty wild.
And
it's versatile too. Some of them you don't want to put in your commander deck, some of those blowout effects, because they're like kind of too niche. But just what I said about the lands, like that makes that a versatile card. And the fact that it's any permanent, so if somebody else has something good, you can steal their thing.
Yeah.
Some of these green blue effects in the past have just been like, create a token of each creature you control, and you're like, what if I don't have any good creatures, or I just got a board wipe or something?
Or what if you did a copy of War Leader's Call?
There you go. And you've got...
And so what you do is you copy War Leader's Call
16 times.
16 times.
You got to play...
And then play one creature.
17 damage to each opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all your creatures are plus 17, plus 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You play a 4-color deck, I guess.
Sure. Seems pretty good. Seems, yeah, no, it's very versatile.
Or anything like
enchantments, any permanent.
Frick, do 16 copies of Crime Novelist.
Yeah, dude. Anytime you sacrifice an artifact, you get 16 mana. It's not infinite mana.
I can find a lot of things to do with 16 mana in a green-blue deck. Yeah. Green-blue-red deck.
Find some way to recast that. Well, you're winning the game at that point, but...
Yeah, no chance. But also, you just created 16 1/3s.
No, because it's 14 mana. Yeah, you just got to find some way to recast that, and you have infinite mana already. Because you can make copies of your lands. So your net 2 lands.
Yeah.
If you, okay. So that's all right. I'm making a green blue combo deck.
Green blue red.
Green blue red somehow, yeah.
Oh no, you're saying just by itself is a.
I've never done green blue red. I've spoken about.
There you go.
It's never called.
There you go. Crime Novelist and Doppelgang.
And boom. All right, I'm sold. This is the best Magic.
It's also really cool art. Like, I don't know if you. Kind of cool.
It's kind of neat. Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like one of the cards that I was just like. I read it at first, and I actually had to I watched a YouTube video about it because I read it and I was like, that seems really dumb. It's like really expensive. Like, why would you ever do that? And then they were like, But no, it's not just like one card that you get to copy X times, but it's like, you know, X is like, it's like super exponential.
Yep.
Like, can you imagine? You pay 14 mana, which is expensive, right? But like late game commander, you have 14 mana, and then all of a sudden you just have 14 Craterhoof Behemoths or something like that.
Yeah, right. You can.
Or what's the dinosaur where you get to cast cards for whoever when it enters the battlefield?
Yeah.
When it ETBs, you get to steal people's cards. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to create 14 of the or 16 of those. Thank you very much.
I'll just take all those.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
Can you imagine 16 Atalis just entering the battlefield?
You exile the top card of each player's library, so 16 times you can cast those cards for free this turn. Yeah, no, that's again.
Even Atali, even paying 3 for X's 3 would be fantastic.
Yeah, extra copies of that guy, definitely. The legend rule, but they still get to enter the battlefield.
Yeah.
Also, you're in green blue, so it's easy to cheat the legend rule. So
well, and also, if you're casting freaking 12 cards or 9 cards, no, you're casting 9 cards from each opponent for free.
All right, Steven, we gotta stop here. I'm already brewing, and we gotta copyright these ideas. I've already got half the deck in my head, man. I don't want to reveal any more secrets.
I'm gonna build that card, like that secret commander sorcery.
Yeah.
Like
what? Just because we mentioned legend rule and green, red, blue, maybe there's one of the partner guys, Sakashima. He just says the legend rule doesn't apply, so you can have that in your command zone. Think you do all the cool legendary creature effects that you'd want to duplicate. And boom, the deck builds itself. Green, blue, legendary duplication stuff. Whoa.
Put an Atali in there. Put all of the Atalis in there. Put all of the dinosaurs.
Craterhoof Behemoth isn't legendary, but yeah, go look up. There's tons of rad legendary effects that you'd love to copy.
Put in as many of them as you want.
Yeah. Legendary matters.
Tree Ents. Some of the Ents.
Be a rad deck. It'll be fun.
It'd be cool. Anyway,
Wizards of the Coast sucks. I hate this game.
Except they sometimes put cool cards into existence.
It's cool, and sometimes a little power creepy, but that crime novelist, did he need to be an uncommon?
He needs to be a legendary. Is what he needs to be.
3 mana. Oof.
Also, like,
but I'm gonna use him because
like he has to go in every.
It's good.
He should go in every single red deck.
Yeah. So.
Like legitimately. I don't know.
It's a good game.
Anyway. Stupid cards.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah. Not a fan of Wizards of the Coast, but sometimes they produce something okay.
Right. At least he's not a detective.
He's a bard. Which makes him okay.
We're okay with bards.
Anyway. And that's all for the 5G part. That's the end of the
That's the end. Go home.
Goodbye.
We're done.
See you next week when Steven gives his synopsis of SHOT Show.
That's all right. Producer, cut. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the 5G podcast.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see more.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.